Hey, everybody, and here we are with another episode of WKT's Backstage with me, Sissi Thompson. On today's show, we have WKT's own commissioner, Whitney-John Stuart, and have we got some amazing news for you? It is the bracket for the Eliminator Tournament. We're also going to be sipping a little tea with Dawn Hayes and Lindsey Warner, two competitors who are participating and dropping their talent in the Eliminator Tournament. And have we got a special treat for you for the big interview? Suzanne Wright, who of course is very well known as being one of the best judges on the competition circuit. So make sure you grab a beverage, grab the comfortable chair and sit down, and let's head backstage. Hey, y'all. Well, here we are for another episode of WKT's Backstage with Sissi Thompson. Well, let's see, what have I been doing this week? You know, I've still been kind of under the weather. Had to go get a second COVID test. I know, right? But this time they actually did the swabbing for me, so that was great. I was negative, thank goodness. So I've been hanging at the house a little bit, trying to feel better, and I'm working on competition stuff. I think I told you guys that I am now in the Masters. You know, I know it I know it doesn't look like that I'm over 50. I'm sure you're thinking, really? I thought you were like 29, 30 maybe tops. But no, I'm actually going to be 52 in June, and I get the opportunity to join the ranks of the Masters competition this year at Talent Quest. So I am going to be competing. So, Talent Quest is known for amazing music, amazing outfits. And so I've been getting ready because I am not going into competition mode without the required amount of talent, number one, and bling. So I ordered a dress shawl from China and it was only $40. Can you believe it? Look at it. Look at all that bling. Isn't it beautiful? Well, I tried it on, y'all. It don't fit. Evidently, when you order stuff online from overseas, let's just say, according to overseas, I'm a 5X, 6X because I normally wear 2X, 3X. And well, this is that. And y'all, I can't even get it over one thigh. So I guess what I'm trying to say, if anybody is interested in a lovely dress from China, it's beautiful. It's a 2X, 3X, which basically means a size 14, 15, 16. Give me a call and I've got a great deal for you. But I've got luggage already. Look at that blingy luggage, y'all. Going to Talent Quest with my blingy luggage. I got my shoes. I got everything. And I've been thinking about my songs and what I want to do, because in competition, you don't want to use a lot of props and all of that. But I've been thinking about how I'm going to enter the stage and how I'm going to exit the stage. And maybe I'll do like a song from Pink or something. And I could do like some aerial acts, like maybe drop me down from a ceiling into a wet pool. And what? Don't judge me. Listen, I'm trying to be innovative. Just because I'm going to be in the Masters doesn't mean I have to act like I'm older than mud. What'd you say? I am older than mud. You know what? I hear y'all out there, and I ain't got time. Let's move on with the show. On to the news. Here we are at the top of the news, and have we got some amazing announcements for you today. Starting off with WKT's Eliminator Tournament. We have our very own commissioner, Mr. Whitney-John Stuart, keeping us abreast of all of the upcoming news. What have you got for us today, Whitney?
Well, Sissy, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. And second of all, to everybody out there, we are here. It's finally the time to reveal the official bracket for the first ever WKT World Championship Eliminator Tournament. 16 singers will vie for the opportunity to win this title and move on to face Miriam Kim, our reigning defending world champion, later on this spring. So without any further ado, we're going to put up the bracket right now. So this is what everybody is fighting for. This is the tournament draw. And we're going to start on the left-hand side of the tournament here and talk very briefly about who is in this Eliminator Tournament. And we have ourselves some rookies, and we have ourselves some well-established people who have been veterans of not only the competitive karaoke world, but WKT as well. Starting at the top with the reigning defending North American champion, Nikki Suyama. She is throwing her hat into the ring. Hashtag 2-belt Nikki, see if she can pull that off. Her first round matchup will be with Jared Piker. Amazingly talented individual. Was one of our finalists in the 2019 North American Open in Las Vegas. Very excited to see that matchup. Moving down, we have Shailene DeVore, which is a brand new rookie on the tour. Looking forward to seeing what she can bring up against one of our masters, Sherry West from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. She was one of the world finalists last year. Amazingly talented singer, veteran of competitive karaoke. She knows what to do in this stage, so that's going to be a very interesting matchup. Moving down the pipe, we have Eric Luttrell versus Tommy Kaiser. Eric was a top 3 finalist at the 2019 WKT North American Open, and the only 2 people that beat him were Anthony McGee, the champion, and Marilyn, who went on to become the world champion that year. So those are the only 2 people that beat Eric. So he has a ton of amazing potential. I want to see what he can do in this tournament. And of course, we have Tommy Kaiser on the other side. Such a powerhouse vocalist. She's got all those tools and just ready to just take what she learned through Keep On Singing and dominate in 2021. And at the bottom of the left-hand side of the draw here, we have Melanie Fedorov versus Dawn Hayes. Melanie, again, another veteran of many, many KWCs and WKT events. And what can we say about the Carolina Reaper herself, the Carolina Queen, Dawn Hayes? Amazing pedigree just in the last 6 to 8 months, coming out of nowhere, and got to the World Championship semifinal last year. And again, another top 5 performance for Keep On Singing. So this left-hand side of the draw, Sissy, I don't know about you, but there are so many interesting matchups, not only in this round of 16, but moving forward through the quarters, semis. So many different variables. I don't know who is going to win out of this side of the draw.
I don't either, but I'm going to tell you what, it is definitely going to be some shows not to miss for sure. What are we looking like on the right-hand side?
Well, let's move over to the right-hand side of the draw, and right at the top, we had Nikki, our North American champion there. Look who we have at the top of the draw here. It's our World Masters champion, the Southern gentleman himself, Robert Owens. And he is throwing his hat into the ring as well to see if he can take on Miriam Kim later this summer. And he is going up against Jennifer Neve. Now, Jennifer is brand new to WKT, but not new to the karaoke competition world. She took some time off. She had a baby. She is now primed and ready to go. She has been practicing hard the last few months, and she is ready to come back out of her self-imposed retirement to see what she can do. Speaking of self-imposed retirements, look at this matchup we have here in this second bracket on the right-hand side. We have...
I'm already ahead of you. Wow.
This is amazing. We have Jack Watson, who was the runner-up for this year's Keep On Singing. Such an amazing singer, not even 20 years old, brand new to this whole virtual stage, and he came out of nowhere and just barely lost out to Justin Wong for the Keep On Singing title. But he is in this mix. He is ready to stake his claim. He wants to win himself his first tournament in WKT, and he is going up against Parnell Lester. And if you do not know who Parnell Lester is, this is a man who has dominated the last several years of competition. He has taken a couple years off. He had some health issues. He has gotten over those health issues, and he is ready to step back into the ring and get things done. So I know a lot of singers are perking up going, who's Parnell Lester? You're going to find out. So to have
Absolutely.
Jack versus Parnell in this first round, this round of 16 matchup, is so intriguing. I don't know who's going to win out of that, but I can tell you it is going to be entertaining for sure.
It sure is.
And then we move down to the bottom half of the right-hand side, and we have Mason Morris, another rookie on the tour. So welcome, Mason, to WKT. You have your hands a little full because you're going up against the first ever North American champion, former KWC World Champion, perennial all-star Anthony Montius McGee, the experience himself. That is going to be a very entertaining matchup where we've got a rookie versus a veteran, and they're going to go head-to-head and see who comes out on top. And, of course, bottom of the draw, it is the reigning Keep On Singing champion, Justin Wong. He just battled Nikki Tsuyama for the North American title. It was literally a 0.4 difference, or else he would have had that title around his waist or over his shoulder. So I know he is super hungry to see if he can win a belt himself. And he is going up against another rookie on the tour, Lindsey Warner, who you know very well, who actually is going to be on the show, I heard, later on today at tea time. So you're gonna you can pick her brain a little tiny bit. Again, another rookie versus veteran. They're going to go head-to-head. I cannot wait to see what those two singers bring. So, Sissy, there you go. That's the right side of the draw.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, all of it, fantastic lineups. It is going to be something to watch for sure. And I'm going to tell you what, it's like you said, I mean, you've got some of the best karaoke royalty, cream of the crop, coming in with some of these people that have just got started on the tour here in the last year. And then, of course, some newcomers. So again, that always makes for some fine entertainment. So we're looking at May the 15th, May the 16th, correct?
Mm-hmm. So the round of 16 matchups, all 8 of those will take place on Saturday, May 15th. And they'll be live streamed directly on our YouTube channel. So please go subscribe to our channel right now. The show that you're watching right now, same YouTube channel. Go subscribe. You'll find out when the event's going to take place. We're probably shooting for about 1 o'clock Eastern. 10 a.m. Pacific is probably when we're going to live stream this out for everybody. And then on Sunday, we will have the quarters, the semis, and the finals back to back to back. Again, 1 o'clock Eastern start time, 10 a.m. Pacific. And we're going to find out at the end of this amazing tournament who is going to win and who will then go on to face Miriam Kim for the Karaoke Championship of the World.
Well, I tell you what, everybody, we're going to be there. We certainly hope you're going to be there as well. So make sure that you subscribe so you can be a part of the fun. Whitney, thank you so much for joining us today and bringing us the news like you always do. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Sissy, and good luck to all the singers.
Hi, I'm Mark.
I'm Sharon.
And we're the national directors of
KWC Canada.
Yeah, you're with us here at WKT Backstage with the effervescently, overflowingly, wonderfully beautiful Sissi Thompson.
Hey, and here we are at tea time. And today I am sipping a little tea with two of my favorite ladies. I have got somebody who's become very well known over the last few months here in the world of karaoke competitions. Give it up for Miss Dawn Hayes. How are you doing, Dawn?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I've been a little under weather, a little bit under the weather, but I'm hanging in there, hanging in there. I'd like to introduce you to somebody. I would love to introduce to all of you. This young lady was our 2018 Ohio State Female Champ, and she is taking part in WKT's Eliminator Tournament along with you, Dawn. Give it up for our own Miss Lindsey Warner. How you doing, Linz?
I'm good, Sissy. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. You know, when I thought about tea time today and with the tournament and getting ready to kick off, I couldn't think of two ladies more than I wanted to have on than you guys. You know, let me tell you, Lindsey, Dawn, just a girl from Carolina, and she started competing with us last season, and she totally blew our minds. I mean, she has moved up the ranks very, very quickly. And one thing that she does that is extremely her forte, other than her voice, is the way that she produces her videos. And I remember Lindsey's been, I've coached Lindsey, gosh, how many years have we been working together, Lindsey?
Well,
Been about
since 2018, so
4 years.
4 years.
So Lindsey has never done the virtual type of performing. The virtual stage is very new to her. So I thought to myself, you know what? Who could I think of to bring on tea time? So let's kind of talk and kind of, you know, really get into the secrets of recording a great video for this tournament other than Dawn Hayes. So I'm so glad that the two of you could join me today. Now, I know that in the top of the show, I'm sure you guys saw that we have released the bracket. Who's going to be competing against who in the tournament? What do you guys think of this? I'm gonna turn it over to Dawn first. Dawn, what do you think?
Well, I'm very impressed with the people who are on the bracket. I don't know the person that I'm up against, so I know that I'm gonna have to go and look, see what they're capable of, and do what any good singer does. You just do your homework and check out your competition, see how you can stack up against them.
Absolutely. And you know what? That is absolutely the right thing to do. When I first came into competing in 2014, 2015, one of the biggest pieces of advice that was given to me by my coach at the time was learn your competitors, study your competitors, and know who you're coming up against. And I took that advice. And so it's always become a part of my to-do list, if you will, when it comes to competing. So that is very, very smart. Lindsey, what do you think about who you're going up against? I know you know this person.
I know them. I don't know them very well, but yes, I've heard him sing, and I'm kind of excited for this. So I think it's going to be a good competition.
I think so too. You know, in looking at the bracket, there's a couple people that I'm not aware of. So I'm going to be researching some people tonight and in the next couple of days, getting to know them as well. But there are some heavy hitters that are going to be in this tournament. I think everybody's going to be really excited when the tournament starts and everybody starts hearing everybody compete. Let me ask you something, Dawn. I know you, and I know that you are already working on all of this. Have you had to make some changes in your set designs? I know that you've been dealing with some ear trouble. Fill us in a little bit about what's going on with that and what's on your to-do list for this tournament.
Well, I wasn't going to do the tournament at first because of my ear trouble. About a month ago, I had 2 blows in the same week to the same ear with really loud, abrupt sound. One was over the phone. I forgot to take it off a speakerphone. When I switched over, had someone dialing in, and I put it to my ear, and it just blasted right in my ear. And then the other time we were at church, the sound was too loud. Somebody didn't pull off the mic, and that was just enough to punch the hole in my eardrum. And so it has been a very rough ride, and it had put a lot more pressure on me to try to take better care of myself and back off, which was the reason why I didn't originally want to do the competition, because I'm still a little sensitive, but I'm getting to the point where I can handle more sound. You know, and so I know that for me, going forward in competition is just making sure that I get plenty of rest and I don't overexpose myself. I'm gonna have to really time myself. As far as backdrops and stuff, the biggest thing that we've done is we have purchased new lighting. Because everything that we had done before, it was in our tiny little room. We've moved all of our stuff into a different space. We're in a bigger space to do recording. We bought new backdrops, and we've got new lights that we will be able to use because we don't have Christmas lights strung up all over our ceiling in our other living room. So, that's why, we had to get up a few things. We've actually bought some new speakers and just, trying to invest in ourselves. And I think that's one of the things, if you want to continue on doing this, is just being able to invest in your equipment, especially if this is something you want to do for the long haul.
Right, right. Lindsey, if you remember, Dawn was one of my students through Keep On Singing, and we're laughing about the Christmas lights because, this virtual stage is new to all of us, and she and I put our heads together, and she strung out the Christmas lights, and her husband is a lot like Mike. He's very heavily involved with her, like Michael is with me, and so between the two of them, they created an amazing stage, and so that's what I wanted you to see. I'm actually going to be sending some of your videos, Dawn, to Lindsey to show her how you can really create something with not a tremendous amount of money and it looks really well. Now, Lindsey, I understand that you actually are looking at a set right now, an old Victorian house, perhaps for one or two of your songs. How's that going? And what do you have on your to-do list for this tournament of things that you need to get accomplished before you finally tape?
Well, I'm actually going there tonight to go and look at it. So I'm really excited about it because it is old Victorian. It's got all of these windows. So, and I think it's going to make a great background for me, at least, because I don't think that I think that the space that I have for, any kind of lighting or anything like that's just not that great. So I thought I was thinking outside the box, and I thought, okay, I'm going to find a place that I can go to and actually sing it. So I'm going somewhere completely different. It's not going to be in my space.
Right. Let me ask you something, Dawn. If there's any piece of advice that you could give to Lindsey right now, especially when it comes to competing virtually, what's some advice that you would give to her? Because you definitely have become a master at it, and I would appreciate it if you passed along some knowledge to her.
I guess the biggest thing is finding peace, I guess, within your camera lens. Knowing that there is someone on the other end who is going to be receiving what you're giving. And that's the thing, is still knowing that you have to give as much without an audience as you would if there were other people in the room. I know for me personally, sometimes people in the room can suck the life out of me. It just depends on the day. It depends on where you are. And I know that when I stand in front of just the camera, I have nothing in the room to draw my attention away. Like, I'm solely devoted to what's going on in that lens. So I would just, try to envision someone, or just have the thought in your head that, you're sharing. And that's what we get to do, that we get to share ourselves with other people, whether it's in person or through the camera.
Oh, that's great advice. Absolutely. If I was asked that same question, Dawn, that's exactly the advice that I would have given. And it truly is. And Lindsey can tell you, and we were actually talking about this last night at the show, and Dawn just gave the example of it so perfectly. Even though we compete, all of us together, and it's fantastic to have a great head for competition, at the end of the day, we're still a family, and we make new friends, and we journey on together, and in this crazy world of karaoke. And I'm so glad that I got just a quick opportunity to introduce the two of you today. I hope you guys will continue to stay in touch and friend request each other on Facebook, because you guys have a lot of similarities, not only in voice, but in the size of your hearts. And so, Lindsey, Dawn, I'm so glad that you guys joined me today. I'm so glad, hopefully, that I've created a new friendship, and I look forward to seeing what two of my favorite female singers bring to this tournament. I love you both. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Sissi.
Well, hey, y'all, it is Sissi Thompson here, your host of Backstage. And I tell you, I am really excited to drop a little tidbit of information to you. We are going to be adding a new segment to the show, and it is going to be our venue spotlight of the week. You know, with everything that we've been through throughout the whole world and everything's been shut down, as karaoke people, we're getting excited that everybody's getting their vaccines and everything is starting to slowly open again. And we would love to hear from you in regards to your favorite venues in your hometown. So make sure that you reach out to us here at worldkaraoketour.com/backstage and send us the information about your favorite karaoke venue in town. Make sure to include the venue name and the contact information so we can get back with you and we can get it highlighted right here on the first talk show about what? Karaoke. WKT's on Backstage with Sissi Thompson. Here we are today with the big interview, and I am really, really excited, thrilled, but even more so honored to have this guest that we have with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Mrs. Suzanne Wright. How are you doing, honey?
I am great, thank you. And it's such a pleasure to be here, Sissi. I mean, you know, we've sort of circled around one another for a while, and it can't be too much longer before we actually meet in the flesh.
Yeah, and you and I've talked about this. I certainly hope that people have bail money when that happens, because you and I have talked, we have the similar sense of humor and everything, and you're always just loads of fun, and I appreciate you so much for being on here today. You know, I'm really excited for our viewers because you're karaoke royalty. You're just one of the fantastic people that judge all of the competitions that many of us have floated in and out of, and you just have become a piece of it that we've all come to love and respect. I wanted just to give a little bit of your history. You know, a lot of people know who you are. You know, they've experienced you being on the judges panel. They've experienced you through coaching. I want to just dive into a little bit about you and your history. How did you get started in music? I mean, did you always have a love for music, even as a child?
My whole family, really. My mother and father met, gosh, a million years ago. I mean, they're both past now, but my parents met as Sundays. My father was my mother's Sunday school teacher. There was 7 years between them. And then my father went off to war and my mother kept on teaching Sunday school and whatever. And when he came back, they struck up a relationship. So music was a huge part of our life. Music and in chapel, music was a big part of our life. So, and my father would play the piano, and later on we had one of those big electric organ things, and he would play that and he would sing always. So there was always music. There was always music. And my whole female side of my family, I'm one of 3 sisters. They're all sopranos, and I am patently, obviously not a soprano. And I didn't realize that my grandmother was actually a beautiful alto. And I didn't realize that for many years. So I tried to sing up with them, but we all sang. We all took music lessons. My aunt, on my mother's side, was the head of the Royal School of Music in London, which is the same as the Royal College of Music here, really. So she was head of that for many years, and was an opera singer. So I grew up surrounded by some pretty famous opera singers that were just hanging out at my auntie's place for tea. So I didn't really think anything of it. So I grew up surrounded by music. And then when I went to university, I actually took music as a second. I have a degree in Middle English. What on earth are you going to do with that? So because I took one pointless degree, I thought I'll take another one. Why not take 2 degrees where you can't earn any money? Good plan. So I did music. And I did a degree in music, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I sort of, and I started touring actually because of my aunt. I actually was only 15 when I first toured, and I toured at 15 with Krista Berg.
Wow.
And I had to have a wrangler and everything, right? Because I wasn't old enough to not have somebody there to do my schooling. But, you know, they're quite easy to avoid. So I had a lot of fun. And then I was quite well behaved. I was surprisingly quiet, I gather. Who knew?
Really?
And I knew I blossomed late. So I was quite quiet. So I'm well behaved and not a big drinker, obviously, because I was a child. So I got picked up by other people to tour with them as well. So the next thing I know, I'm touring with Rod Stewart. Well, that was a bit of a shock to the system, frankly, because Christopher wasn't particularly well known. It was the Spanish train era, and he wasn't particularly well known. And he's not very good at singing in tune, so he had to have backing singers who could hold a tune. And that was one of the things that I wasn't bad at. So I then moved on to these rock singers. Well, I mean, I was a classical singer, so that was all quite an experience for me, frankly. But so I know my life has happened mostly by accident. Let's be real here. So I know it's been great. It's been a blast. I'm loving it. So I toured with Rod Stewart, then I toured with Elton John, and then I toured again with Rod Stewart. And then I toured with Billy Joel. That didn't go well for me. But I know. But yeah, somebody sold the key. I know who sold the key to the bus, but to the women's bus. And we ended up with guys coming onto our bus. And I'm like, I don't think so. And starting to get a little sassy by then. So I handed him my notice, and he's like, nobody hands in their notice. And I'm, well, buddy, I'm the first. So I didn't last. I learned all those darn songs too, but I didn't last long with him. But I did have a wonderful time with my favorite, honestly, was good old Rodney. Rod Stewart was he's just a gentleman, honestly. I mean, where it counts, not where it shows, but where it counts.
Well, I will tell you, one of the best concerts that I ever attended was at the Sun Dome in Tampa, Florida, seeing Rod Stewart. I mean, he was just unbelievable on stage vocally, and just from the minute he got on stage to the minute he stopped, he was 90 miles an hour plus. So I'm interested. So there you are, 15 years old and on, basically living a rock and roll lifestyle. How did you go from that? How did you get into all that you're involved in now? I mean, what was in so you obviously went on, you had a family.
My mother said to me, dear, this is no life. This is no life for you, my dear. Gracious me, you cannot be doing this. And I'm like, doing what? And she said, well, you're mixing with people that just, they're not good for you, dear. I mean, they do things that you shouldn't be doing. She said, I think you should move into the classical world. And Auntie Margaret, good old Auntie Margaret Kingsley, Auntie Margaret has a place for you with the doily cart. So I went from rock and roll to singing Gilbert and Sullivan, like you do, right? Because that's what you do. So I had a blast. I love Gilbert and Sullivan. It's also silly. And one of my favorite Gilbert and Sullivans is Ruddy Gore, which is the most ludicrous story ever. And it's just so much fun. And I carried on with that and did some classical stuff. And then I actually opened Les Mis in England. We toured England before it went on to the Barbican. So that was, 30-something, that lot of years ago. Was a lot of years ago. So I played Fantine before it went on to the Barbican. So then it went on to the Barbican and they auditioned all the cast and I was too fat to play Fantine on stage. And I really wasn't then. Well, certainly not like I am now.
I've never experienced any kind of that.
So, and to be honest with you, I don't know if it particularly bothered me. I don't even know if it particularly triggered. I really don't know. But when I look back at pictures of me, I go, and they thought I was fat then. Good Lord. So I know. So whatever. So I am on a cast album though, the very original cast album. I'm singing I Dreamed a Dream. I'm singing Fantine. So yeah, so that's one of my big claims to fame. But you know, nobody ever knows, do they? Unless they know me very well and they've heard me singing it, I suppose. But after that, I did what did I do? Oh yeah, I was in Hair, Start Naked on stage. That was a thing.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. And it was very strange. Luckily, the lights were very bright on you, so you couldn't really see the audience. But I think about it now, and I think I never thought about that. You just took your clothes off and did it. I did. Somebody said, take your clothes off, and I'm like, why not? So yeah, it was really quite surreal. A whole group of us standing there naked singing.
So,
Very,
okay.
very odd, frankly.
Okay, so you went from rock and roll lifestyle to the classical world to singing hair, butt naked. So
singing here, butt naked, living in a boarding house. Yeah, that
Okay.
how the mighty are fallen.
okay. So how in the heck did you find your way into the world of karaoke competitions? From all of that.
But again, it was an accident. So I had never sung karaoke. I've always sung with bands. And we moved, I'd been married for, I got married quite young, actually. I was 23 when I got married. And we didn't have any children until I was 29 when I had my first son, and then 37 when I had my daughter. Same father, same man. Anyway, so there's another story, believe me. But we ended up moving to Canada because Alistair was offered a job here, and I'm like, I don't really mind where we live. It's fine. It sounds like fun. So we moved to Canada, and the only thing I knew about Calgary was that they had the Stampede. That was it. That was my sole knowledge of Calgary. We moved here with our 2 children, and I started teaching a musical theatre group in a local community centre, and they got rather well noticed because they were pretty good, because they were getting some pretty good education, I suppose. And then I started teaching some private lessons, and then I took my daughter for a trumpet lesson up to a studio up the road, and their singing teacher hadn't turned up, and they were just talking about it, and I'm like, well, I do a little bit of that. So that's how I've been known to sing. So that's how I ended up teaching at Studio 9. And then from Studio 9, they were looking for somebody to judge a karaoke contest. And my boss at the time put my name forward. Didn't tell me, but put my name forward. So then I met Susan Cook. And there's one problem with Susan Cook. When she looks you in the eye, she can't say no. I don't know what it is. It's like a magic trick. It really is. But you're going, yes, of course I'll do that. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem. It's impossible to say no to her. So then I ended up, and I judged this contest. Oh gosh, Talent Quest was the first one I judged. So I think I judged maybe 4 Talent Quests. And then I ended up doing the first KWC that we'd done in Calgary with Whitney.
Right.
And, fell a little bit in love with Whitney instantly because he's so funny. He was just wonderful. So got on with Whitney like a house on fire. And that started quite a long relationship, really, I can call him, he can call me. We help each other out with whatever competitions and things need doing. So, so it's been quite exciting. My main reason for going with karaoke is that it gives everybody their 10 minutes of fame without having to have a live band and all that entails.
Right.
I think karaoke has a bad name. Karaoke is drunken singers in a bar, and it's not. It's really, the talent in karaoke is astounding.
It's better. It's to me, percentage wise, I mean, it's better than some of the stuff that you hear that's getting airplay all around the world. So I got to tell you, some of the best singers I've ever heard have been at these competitions, truly.
I totally agree. And the other thing that I would say is I would agree with some of the comments that I hear all the time, that it's not always the best singers that make it to the top, but it is the best entertainer.
Absolutely. Well, and so that kind of wedges open the door a little bit where I wanted to go next. As I started off the interview, you definitely have sat on all the judging panels for all the major competitions, and here we are in the midst of this virtual stage, thanks to COVID. Some shows like Talent Quest are going to be going live this year, and then others like KWC and WKT, we're still utilizing the virtual stage this year. But coming from a judging standpoint, I'd love to kind of pick your brain a little bit, and I know a lot of the contestants are listening. We know what the rubric says, what the judging card says, but as a judge, truly, whether it's live or virtual, what are you looking for? What stands out to you from a performer? What are you looking for?
I am honestly looking for what is on that rubric. I study that rubric. I really do. I can recite rubrics to you. They're all different, but you are paired against the rubric. You're not competing against the other singers. Every time somebody stands up, it is a new competition of you against that rubric. So I check the rubric, I tick through the rubric, I give you your points, and I drop your scores out of my head, and I move on to the next one. And I cannot remember what I wrote. I cannot remember what I said. I cannot remember what numbers I gave you on the whole. A few will stand out to me, but on the whole, it's once you have moved off that stage, I am focused on the next person so that I can give everybody the best level of my attention. There is a star quality. And when that walks onto the stage, and it's not the look of them as they walk onto the stage that gets me, but the first few notes they sing, and they might not be the most in tune. They might not be the best technically, but they have a certain quality about them that captures my soul. And if you can trap me in your magic, I promise you will get a full score from me, because I am enjoying myself too much to mark down that you missed the third note in the second bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, one thing that I've always respected about you, and you and I have talked about this in the past, is you always have had such a great open door policy. You're a fantastic coach. You're a fantastic mentor. I mean, I'll be more than happy to tell everybody, she has been a coach that has helped me. And I will tell you, it has changed me. And you and I've talked about this as a vocalist. I'd like to touch on that a little bit. And of course, using me as an example, who came to you. You said something in our pre-interview when we were talking that, and it's something that I've even taught my students, and it's so true. You know, when the day that you stop learning is the day that you need to walk off the stage. Let's talk a little bit about that, coming from a coaching standpoint.
I think that in the time since I have been to school to learn, I have learned way more than I ever learned in school. I learn from everybody I teach, but I also I continue to learn from experts in my field. I think that everything changes and grows. And when I was young, which was a pretty long time ago, I mean, I was born right at the beginning of the 60s. So it was, you were either a classical singer or a rock singer. I'm neither. You were a soprano or an alto or a mezzo soprano. I'm not. I'm an alto who can access the soprano range. I sing whatever I want to sing. I think the days of pigeonholes should be long gone. And I think that you should learn to use your instrument to the best of your ability. If a French horn can sing 4.5 octaves, why can't we?
Right, right. And one thing that you have taught me is, and you kind of touched on it just a moment ago, when a singer kind of captivates you, and I've passed this along to my students, is you have to connect with that piece. And when you connect with that piece, my friend, you are so right. You captivate an audience. And once you captivate that audience, it's funny how even though there might be a little technical wibble here or there, once you begin taking them on that journey, it's almost like you're entranced with them, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that I do talk about. I will tell people, do not break the spell. Once you have woven that spell and you've got me, if there's an instrumental break, please don't start talking in it, because you then drop the character that you've given me. You've taken away my dream, the fact that I am wrapped up entirely in what you are selling me. And you've broken that spell. You have to paint a picture with your words.
Right.
You can't just say words because it doesn't work. You have to sing those words and paint each one of them. And I want to hear the harder words. I want them sung hard. I want the softer words sung with love or with regret, or I want to feel what you are trying to tell me. And I have heard songs that I think of one way, sung in a completely different way. I've heard songs that I think of as quite angry, sung in a very regretful fashion. And I've fallen in love with the song all over again.
Oh, agreed. So agreed. And we were talking about this last night, Michael and I. I love the way that some of the artists and some of the arrangers are taking some of the old classics of yesterday, even from the American Songbook. You know, Rod Stewart is infamous now for picking out some of those songs from the old American Songbook and giving them new life, you know. And
I learned all of those from him.
Right.
We used to warm up. That's how he warms up. You warm up by going out into an area and playing football, soccer, I guess you guys call it, but we call it he calls it fitba. But then you come back in and you warm up with these old American songs that his father taught him.
Well, I guess it's kind of like along the same lines as Elvis Presley. You know, Elvis was a name in our house that we grew up with, but when you dive into the history of him, and everybody, even down to Priscilla, would say, you know, when Elvis would warm up, or even after the show, he wasn't singing Hound Dog, he wasn't singing Unchained Melody. He went back to the songs of his faith and songs that he was comfortable with and what he grew up with. So absolutely, I completely agree. I want to ask you one thing with the virtual stage as a judge. That connectivity with the song is even more vital, wouldn't you say? Because a singer is sitting there. And I know for me, you know, I'm a performer, and not having that audience to feed off of was one of the things that I found very difficult about singing into a phone, singing into a camera. What advice would you give the competitors that are basically utilizing the phone and the virtual stage?
Sing the songs that you love and sing them in your heart to who you love. Sing them for who you are feeling that song about. Put on a character like an old overcoat and lose yourself in that character and become whoever for you is singing that song, whether it's you or your mother or somebody you went to school with or an actress or an actor on a stage. Become that person and sing into that camera and make that connection. I have a thing when I'm judging online. I don't go back and listen again, because if you capture me that first time, I don't think it's then fair to go back through and listen for those mistakes. If I didn't hear them the first time, I shouldn't be judging them.
Oh, wow. I love that. I absolutely love that. You know, it's no secret. My one of my best friends, Jeff, you know, has coached alongside of you up in Canada. And, you know, when Sharon had reached out to us last year and said, Sissi, we want you guys to come up to Canada. And of course, COVID again, something else took away, you know, I've heard so much from so many people about the way that you treat contestants and the way that you judge. And of course, Jeffrey just had so much to say about you. And I'm just so thrilled that you came with us today and everybody got an opportunity to know a little bit more about you. I will say this, and I don't say this to very many people. If there's ever been somebody that I've met that I truly felt a connection with, almost like a soul sister, it would be you. And you and I have talked about this.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I have so much respect for you and just so much love for you. And I want to say personally, thank you so much for all you've meant to me and helping me hone my craft. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on board today. And I hope that you will definitely come back on board again. We definitely have some other ideas. We'd love to have you on the show again in the future.
Thank you so much for having me, and I love you to bits. You know I do. My sister through Jeffrey. That's who you are.
Absolutely. I love you too. Hopefully I'll be seeing you soon. Hopefully you'll be out there on a judging panel coming up soon. We love you so much. So. You take care. If you need anything, you give me a call. We'll see you soon.
Same. Lots of love, darling. Bye.
Bye-bye. just like that, we have come to the end of another episode of Backstage. I would like to thank all of my guests on today's show. Our own Whitney-John Stuart for filling us in on what's going on with the Eliminator Tournament. I'm going to tell you, that bracket right there, that is going to be some tough competitions. Make sure you tune in May 15th and 16th. I'd like to thank my lovely ladies who joined me for tea time today, Mrs. Dawn Hayes and, of course, Lindsey Warner. Good luck to both of them as they compete in the tournament. And, of course, the big interview today with my soul sister, the none other, incomparable, and just quite down-to-earth, lovely Miss Suzanne Wright. I would like to say thank you for coming on board today. And I would like to thank all of you guys for coming on board. And like I always tell you, if you have any ideas, any suggestions, make sure you find us at worldkaraoketour.com/backstage. Send us your ideas. Hey sis, I'd like to be a part of the show. Hey sis, I have somebody I'd like to see on the show. I have an idea. We're always open to that. And make sure that you send us any information you've got about venue spotlights. We'd love to include that as well. Other than that, I think we're done for the day. Oh, wait, no, we're not. Remember, I have a dress for sale. $20 right here. It can be yours. If you're a size 2X, 3X, this is not for you. Anyway, make sure that you subscribe to our channel. And I promise you, if you will do that, we are going to continue and grow. But we can't do it without your help. So make sure you invite your friends, subscribe. Other than that, I think we're done. How'd you guys enjoy the show? I did. And I hope to see you again next week. Because remember, all amazing performances happen on stage, but all the cookie stuff happens backstage. See you next week.